The text message came through at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Mom, emergency. Baby has fever. Can you come now? I was already in my nightgown, my feet aching from my shift at the grocery store. But I grabbed my keys, threw on my coat, and drove the 15 minutes to my grandson Deshaun's house in the dark. When I got there, the baby wasn't sick. Deshaun and his wife Kendra were dressed up, heading out to a party they'd forgotten to mention. "Thanks, Grandma Gloria," Kendra said, breezing past me in a cloud of expensive perfume. "Kids are already asleep. We'll be back by 2. They came back at 4:30 a.m. I had to be at work at 7 o'clock. That was 7 years ago. And it never got better, it only got worse. Hello, my name is Gloria Zhang Mitchell. I'm 65 years old. For 7 years, I was my grandson's free childcare, his housekeeper, his cook, and apparently, according to him, his slave. When I finally asked to be paid minimum wage for the work I was doing, my own family turned on me, tried to have me declared incompetent, and nearly destroyed my life. But they didn't know 3 things. First, I'd been documenting everything. Second, I was a lot smarter than they thought. And third, you don't survive 65 years as a black woman in America without learning when to be quiet and when to fight. This is the story of how my family tried to exploit me, how they tried to silence me, and how I made them pay literally. If you've ever been taken for granted by your own family, if you've ever been told you should be grateful for the opportunity to be used, if you've ever been called ungrateful for asking for basic respect, then maybe you'll understand my story. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1959, right in the middle of the civil rights movement. My parents, Thomas and Willie Mae Johnson, were sharecroppers, children who moved north to Detroit during the Great Migration, searching for better opportunities and less overt racism. They found work in the auto factories and built a life for me and my 3 siblings. Mama cleaned houses for white families in Grosse Pointe to make extra money. She'd come home exhausted, her knees aching, and still have to cook dinner for us. But she never complained. "This is what we do for family," she'd say. "We work hard so our children can have better." I took that lesson to heart. Maybe too much to heart. I married young 19 years old to a man named Curtis Mitchell. He worked at the Ford plant, made decent money, and treated me well. We had 1 son, Marcus. In 1981, Curtis died in a car accident when Marcus was only 8 years old, leaving me with a mortgage, a child to raise, and no real job skills beyond the secretarial work I'd done part-time. I went back to school, got my GED, then got certified as a medical billing specialist. I worked at a clinic in Detroit for 23 years, raising Marcus on my own. It wasn't easy, but we made it work. Marcus was a good kid, respectful, hardworking, made decent grades. He got a scholarship to Michigan State, studied business, and got a good job in marketing in Atlanta. I was so proud of him. When Marcus had his first child, a son named Deshaun, I flew down to Atlanta to help. I stayed for 2 weeks, cooking, cleaning, doing night feedings so Marcus and his wife Sharon could sleep. It felt good to be needed, to be useful. But Sharon and Marcus divorced when Deshaun was 5. Marcus got remarried too quickly to a woman named Jennifer who didn't want to deal with a stepchild. Deshaun bounced between households, never quite fitting in anywhere. When Deshaun was 18 and got his girlfriend pregnant, Marcus called me. "Ma, I don't know what to do. Deshaun's too young to be a father. He's still in community college. The girl's family wants nothing to do with the baby. Can you come down here and help? Just for a little while?" Just for a little while. That's what he said. I retired early from my job in Detroit at 62, took a reduced pension I couldn't really afford, and moved to Atlanta to help raise my great-grandson, Jaden. I found a small 1-bedroom apartment in College Park and got a part-time job at Kroger to supplement my pension. "It's temporary, Ma," Marcus said. "Just until Deshaun finishes school and gets on his feet. Deshaun never finished school. He dropped out after one semester and got a job at a call center. But he met Kendra there, and within 6 months, they were married. Kendra was pretty ambitious and very clear about what she wanted, a comfortable life without having to work too hard for it. "We're keeping Jaden," Deshaun announced after the wedding. "Kendra wants to be a mom. But we'll need your help, Grandma. Just sometimes. For babysitting and stuff." Just sometimes turned into all the time. At first, it was a few hours here and there. Then it was every evening while they worked late. Then it was overnight so they could have date nights. Then it was full days, when Kendra decided to go back to school for a nursing degree. Then they had a second baby. And then a third. By the time we get to last year, I was watching 3 children: Jaden, 7, Kamari, 4, and baby Zaria 5 days a week, sometimes 6. I'd get up at 5 a.m., get myself ready for my shift at Kroger from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock, then go straight to Deshaun's house to watch the kids from noon until 8 o'clock or 9 p.m., when Deshaun and Kendra finally got home from work, or the gym, or running errands. I fed the children, buying groceries with my own money when they ran out. I changed diapers, helped with homework, did their laundry, cleaned their house. I took the kids to doctor's appointments when Kendra couldn't get off work. I stayed up all night when they were sick. And I never asked for a dime. "We're family," Kendra would say whenever the subject of money came close to coming up. "Family helps family. Besides, what else would you be doing? You're retired." Retired. As if I didn't still work 25 hours a week at Kroger, standing on my feet, scanning groceries, dealing with rude customers, just to pay my rent and keep my lights on. My pension from the clinic was only $980 a month. My Kroger job brought in about $1,100 a month. My rent was $850, plus utilities, plus my car payment, plus insurance, plus medication for my high blood pressure and diabetes. I was barely making it. But they were family, and family helps family. That's what I told myself every time I wanted to say no. Every time Kendra called at the last minute with an emergency that turned out to be a yoga class or a shopping trip. Every time Deshaun forgot to say thank you. Every time I ate ramen noodles for dinner because I'd spent my grocery money buying food for their kids. Then came the conversation that changed everything. It was a Sunday afternoon in March. I was at their house, as usual, making dinner while watching the kids. Kendra and Deshaun were in the living room, and I overheard them talking. "We should go to Miami for my birthday," Kendra said. "A whole week. Just us. That's expensive, babe. Flights, hotel, everything. We can afford it if we're smart. We'll ask your grandma to watch the kids. She'd do it for free, for a whole week? Why not? She doesn't have anything else to do. And if she complains, just remind her that we let her see the kids. She should be grateful for the access to my own great-grandchildren." I stood there in their kitchen, stirring spaghetti sauce, feeling something crack inside me. That night I went home and did something I should have done years ago. I calculated how much my childcare was worth. According to the websites I found, the average cost of childcare for 3 children in Atlanta was about $2,500 per month. I'd been doing it for 7 years. $2,500 by 12 months x 7 years equals $210,000. $210,000. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at that number, and started crying. Not sad tears, angry tears. Tears of realization that I'd given them over $200,000 worth of labor while I struggled to pay my electric bill. That week, I did research. I looked up minimum wage in Georgia, $7.25 an hour. I calculated the hours I spent watching their kids, at least 40 hours a week, sometimes more. Even at minimum wage, they owed me over $100,000 in back pay. I decided to approach this carefully. I didn't want to start a war. I just wanted fairness. The following Sunday, I asked to speak with Deshawn and Kendra. I'd prepared a written proposal, printed out neatly, showing my calculation of hours and requesting payment going forward. I need to talk to you both about something important, I said, sitting at their kitchen table while the kids watched TV in the other room. What's up, Grandma? Deshawn asked, barely looking up from his phone. I've been thinking about the childcare situation, I began carefully. I love spending time with the kids, but I'm struggling financially. I'm working at Kroger and watching your children 5 to 6 days a week. I'm exhausted, and I can barely pay my bills. Kendra's eyes narrowed. I could see her already preparing her defense. What are you saying? She asked, her voice cold. I'm asking if you could start paying me for childcare. Not the full market rate, just minimum wage. $7.25 an hour. It would help me so much. Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. Then Deshawn laughed. Not a real laugh, a dismissive, cruel laugh. You want us to pay you? To watch your own great-grandchildren? I'm not asking for back pay, I said quickly, though I'd calculated it. Just going forward. It would only be about $1,200 a month for all the hours $1,200? Kendra's voice rose. Are you serious right now? You're basically retired anyway. What else would you be doing with your time? I'm working at Kroger, and I'm tired. I'm 65 years old, and Our people used to work for free, Deshawn interrupted, his voice hard. Slavery, share, cropping, all of that. And you're sitting here complaining about watching some kids? You're acting entitled, Grandma. The word hit me like a slap. Entitled. And the comparison to slavery did. He really just... Deshawn, that's not fair, I said, my voice shaking. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking to be paid for labor. That's not entitlement. That's... You know what? Kendra stood up, her chair scraping loudly. I can't believe this. After everything we've done for you. We've included you in our lives, let you be part of our family, and this is how you repay us. By demanding money? You haven't done anything for me, I said quietly. I've done everything for you. Get out, Kendra said. Get out of my house. Kendra, please, let's just... I said get out. And don't bother coming back. We'll find someone who actually appreciates what we offer them. I left. I drove home in a daze, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I got to my apartment, I sat in my car for 20 minutes, just crying. Not because I'd lost the relationship, though, that hurt, but because my own grandson had compared me asking to be paid to slavery, as if wanting basic compensation for my labor made me ungrateful, as if I should be honored to work myself to exhaustion for free. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my mama cleaning white folks' houses, thinking about my grandparents working in fields they didn't own, thinking about all the generations of black folks who worked for free, who were told they should be grateful for the scraps they were given. And I thought, no more. Not me, not anymore. The next morning, I got a notification on my phone. Someone had tagged me in a Facebook post. It was Kendra. Some people are so selfish and greedy, the post read. Imagine asking your own family to pay you to spend time with your great-grandchildren. Imagine demanding money from people who have given you nothing but love and respect. Some people just don't understand what family means. Prayers for those who have lost their way. #FamilyFirst, #grateful, #no-greed. The post had 147 likes and 89 comments, most from people I didn't know. Wow, how ungrateful can you be? Elders these days have no respect for family values. She should be ashamed of herself. But there were also comments from people who knew the situation. Wait, she's been watching those kids for free for 7 years? And y'all mad she asked to get paid? Y'all are wild. Kendra, you drive a brand new BMW and just went to Cancun. You can afford to pay her. This is exploitation, not family. I didn't respond to the post. I just screenshot it for my records. Over the next week, my phone blew up. Family members I hadn't heard from in years were calling to tell me I was wrong, that I should apologize, that family doesn't charge family. My cousin Diane called. "Gloria, what's wrong with you? Those are your great-grandchildren." "I'm not refusing to see them, Diane. I'm just asking to be paid for 40 hours a week of childcare. But that's what grandmas do. We help. Helping is a few hours here and there. Not a full-time job I'm not being paid for." She hung up on me. Marcus, my own son, called from Detroit. "Ma, what's going on?" "Deshawn's upset. Kendra's upset." "What did you do?" "What did I do? I asked to be paid for 7 years of free labor, and they kicked me out." "Ma, they're young. They're struggling. You know how expensive it is to raise 3 kids, and you know how expensive it is to be 65, working part-time and barely making rent? But you're retired. You have time." "Having time doesn't mean my time is worthless, Marcus. I just think you're being unreasonable." Their family. The word family was starting to make me sick. But the worst was yet to come. 2 weeks after the confrontation, Deshawn called me. His voice was cold, businesslike. "Grandma, we need to talk about something serious." "What is it?" "Kendra and I have been talking, and we're concerned about you. You've been acting strange lately. Paranoid, confused, demanding money for things that don't make sense. We think you might be developing dementia." My blood ran cold. "Dementia?" "Deshawn, I'm perfectly fine. I'm just asking to be." That's exactly what someone with dementia would say. They don't realize they're declining. "Grandma, we're worried about you. We're worried you might be a danger to yourself. Maybe even to the kids." "A danger?" "I've been taking care of those children for 7 years without a single problem. We have to protect our family, Grandma. We've already contacted Adult Protective Services. They're going to do a wellness check." He hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, trying to process what had just happened. They were going to claim I had dementia because I asked to be paid. They were going to try to have me declared incompetent. And if they succeeded, they could take control of my finances, my decisions, my life. 2 days later, there was a knock on my door. A woman in a pantsuit with a clipboard stood there, flanked by a police officer. "Mrs. Mitchell?" "I'm Sandra Barnes from Adult Protective Services. We received a report of concern about your welfare. May I come in?" I let them in because I didn't have a choice. Refusing would make me look like I had something to hide. Ms. Barnes asked me questions for over an hour. Questions about my daily routine, my health, my medications, my finances. She looked around my apartment, which was clean and well organized. She asked me to perform simple cognitive tests, remember 3 words, count backward from 100, identify the current date. I passed everything easily. "Mrs. Mitchell, you seem perfectly competent to me," she said finally. "But your grandson and his wife have provided some concerning documentation. Text messages where you made confused statements. Photos they claim show neglect of the children. A letter from their family doctor expressing concern. That's all lies," I said. "I never made confused statements. I never neglected those children. I don't know what doctor would write such a letter without even examining me. I understand this is frustrating. But given the nature of the allegations, we need to do a more thorough investigation. I'm recommending a 72-hour evaluation at a care facility, just to be sure you're not a danger to yourself or others." "A care facility? You're sending me to a nursing home?" "It's temporary. Just 3 days of observation. If everything checks out, you'll be released immediately." I had no choice. If I refused, they'd get a court order. Fighting would make me look unstable. So I packed a bag and got into Ms. Barnes' car, feeling like a criminal being taken to jail. The care facility was a quasi depressing place on the outskirts of Atlanta. Linoleum floors, fluorescent lights, the smell of disinfectant and old age. They put me in a shared room with an elderly white woman who didn't speak, just stared at the TV all day. I was evaluated by doctors, psychiatrists, social workers. They all asked the same questions, ran the same tests, and they all came to the same conclusion. I was perfectly fine. But I had to stay the full 72 hours. During those 3 days, I had a lot of time to think and to plan. On the second day, I asked for a meeting with the facility's social worker, a tired-looking black woman in her 40s named Patricia. "Mrs. Mitchell, how are you feeling today?" "I'm feeling angry," I said honestly. "I'm here because I asked my grandson to pay me for childcare, and he retaliated by claiming I have dementia." She looked at me carefully. "Is that what happened?" "Yes, and I need a lawyer." Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I've seen this before. Family members using AP as a weapon when there's a financial dispute. It's unfortunately common. Can you help me? I can give you some resources." She pulled out a card. "This is a lawyer who specializes in elder rights. She's helped people in situations like yours." The lawyer's name was Vanessa Pierce. I called her that afternoon from the facility's payphone. "Mrs. Mitchell," she said after I'd explained my situation, "what they're doing is called financial exploitation and abuse of the elderly. It's illegal. And falsely reporting you to a PS as retaliation is also illegal. We can fight this. I don't have money for a lawyer. I work on contingency for cases like this. If we win, I take a percentage of what we recover. If we lose, you don't pay me anything. What do I need to do? First, we need documentation. Do you have any proof of the hours you worked, the money you spent, anything that shows the extent of your caregiving?" I thought about the notebooks I'd started keeping 2 years ago when I'd begun to suspect I needed to protect myself. I'd written down every hour I worked, every dollar I spent on their children, every time they promised to pay me back and didn't. "I have records," I said. "Detailed records. Good. What about recordings? Did you ever record your conversations with them?" I hadn't. But then I remembered something. "I have an app on my phone," I said slowly. "A voice recorder app. My friend Ernestine told me to download it last year after she had trouble with her landlord. She said to record every important conversation, just in case. Did you use it?" I had. Not every time, but often. Every time I'd asked for money and been refused. Every time Kendra said something cruel. Every time Deshawn compared me to slavery or told me I should be grateful. "I have recordings," I said. "A lot of them?" "Mrs. Mitchell," Vanessa said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. "I think we have a case." After the 72 hours, I was released with a clean bill of health. The facility's report stated clearly, no evidence of cognitive decline, dementia, or danger to self or others. Patient is mentally competent and capable of independent living. I went home to my apartment and immediately backed up all my recordings to a cloud service, made copies of all my notebooks, and sent everything to Vanessa. She called me 3 days later. "Gloria, this is incredible. You have over 50 recorded conversations where they explicitly discuss exploiting you, mock you for asking for payment, and even plan how to keep you in line by making you financially dependent on seeing the grandkids. This is ironclad evidence. What do we do now?" "Now we calculate exactly how much they owe you, and we file a lawsuit for unpaid wages, financial exploitation, emotional distress, and false reporting to apps. We're going after everything." We calculated carefully. 7 years of childcare at 40 hours per week at minimum wage came to $107,120 in unpaid wages. Add in the money I'd spent on groceries, clothes for the kids, gas money driving them around, and other expenses, another $23,000. Total, $130,120. But Vanessa wasn't done. We're also suing for emotional distress, defamation from that Facebook post, and legal fees. I'm asking for $250,000 total. Do you think we can win? With these recordings? Absolutely. The lawsuit was filed in April. Deshawn and Kendra were served papers at their home. Deshawn called me, furious. "Grandma, what the hell is this? You're suing us?" You called me a slave for asking to be paid, I said calmly. You compared me to enslaved people because I wanted minimum wage. You tried to have me declared incompetent. Yes, Deshawn, I'm suing you. We're family. Family doesn't exploit family. Family doesn't abuse family. Family doesn't lie to authorities to try to control family. You'll never see those kids again. You know that, right? The threat was meant to hurt me. And it did. But I'd already made my peace with it. Then that's your choice, Deshawn. But you're going to pay me what you owe me. He hung up. The next few months were brutal. More family members called to tell me I was tearing the family apart. Kendra posted more things on social media, calling me vindictive and greedy. Someone started a rumor that I was trying to take Deshawn's kids away from him. But Vanessa was relentless. In June, we had a mediation session. Deshawn, Kendra, their lawyer, me, and Vanessa sat in a conference room for 4 hours. Their lawyer tried to argue that I was a volunteer, that family caregiving doesn't constitute employment, that I'd never asked to be paid until recently. Then Vanessa played the recordings. Kendra's voice crystal clear. She's so pathetic. Working at a grocery store at her age because she's too dumb to have saved for retirement. Deshawn's voice. Just keep her busy with the kids. As long as she thinks she's needed, she won't cause problems. Kendra again. If she ever asks for money, we'll just guilt trip her. Remind her that family doesn't charge family. Old people are so easy to manipulate. The lawyer's face went pale. There's more, Vanessa said, and played another recording. Deshawn, my grandma's acting entitled. Asking for money like we owe her something. Our people used to work for free. She needs to remember that. Kendra, laughing, right? She's basically our slave. A voluntary slave, but still. Both of them laughing. The room was silent. Do you want me to play more? Vanessa asked pleasantly. I have 53 recordings. Some of them are much worse than this. Their lawyer looked at Deshawn and Kendra. I need to speak with my clients privately. They returned 20 minutes later. We're prepared to settle, their lawyer said. The settlement was $180,000, less than we asked for, but more than the documented wages. It would be paid in a lump sum within 30 days. In addition, Deshawn and Kendra had to sign a statement acknowledging that I was a competent adult who had been financially exploited, and that statement would be filed with a PS to clear my record. They also had to publicly retract the Facebook post and post an apology. Do we have a deal? Their lawyer asked, looking defeated. Yes, Vanessa said. I just nodded. I couldn't trust myself to speak. The check came 4 weeks later. $180,000. After Vanessa took her percentage and fees, I had $125,000 left. It was more money than I'd ever had in my life. The first thing I did was quit my job at Kroger. The second thing I did was move into a nice 2-bedroom apartment in a better neighborhood. The third thing I did was set up a retirement account so I'd never have to worry about money again. And the fourth thing I did was block Deshawn's, Kendra's, and Marcus's numbers. That was 8 months ago. Today, I'm sitting on the balcony of my new apartment, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. I'm 66 years old now. My blood pressure is under control. I'm not exhausted all the time. I can actually afford my medication and my groceries. I volunteer at a local community center 3 days a week, teaching a class called Know Your Worth, Protecting Yourself from Family Exploitation. The class is always full, mostly older, Black women who've been taken advantage of by their own families. Last month, a 70-year-old woman named Bernice came to class. She'd been doing free childcare for her daughter's 4 kids for 9 years. When she asked to be paid, her daughter threatened to cut off contact with the grandchildren. I taught Bernice how to document everything, how to record conversations legally, how to calculate what she's owed. I gave her Vanessa's number. Don't let them use your love against you, I told her. Your time has value. Your labor has value. You have value, even if they don't see it. It doesn't matter if it's family. It doesn't matter if they guilt trip you. It doesn't matter if they say, "But this is what family does." Family doesn't exploit family. Real family respects you, values you, and compensates you fairly for your labor. And if they don't, if they use your love as a weapon against you, if they call you selfish for having boundaries, then maybe it's time to walk away. I lost my great-grandchildren. I lost my relationship with my grandson. I lost the illusion of a happy family. But I found something more important. I found myself. I found my dignity. I found peace. And that's worth more than any amount of money.